All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. All right, thank you, Alderman Howell. Item number 16 is a discussion regarding the 2020 City of Lake Geneva Annual Financial Report and Management Letter. I think I would send this over to Karen, but I thought Shannon.
Yeah, Shannon was supposed to be on, but I don't see her, so I will entertain any questions and try my college to try at the answers. If I can't answer them, we'll have to have her come back.
Any discussion or questions regarding the audit? Alderman Fessenmeyer.
Just a comment first. Thank you for the paper copy. That's very helpful to be able to read it. And then I had a question about the packet called Management Communication, page 3. It talks about supplementary information, required supplementary information. Can you address those two paragraphs?
Mm-hmm. So basically, they call it RSI, and it is not exactly part of the financial statements, but it follows the notes to the financial statements to explain what's in there. And the only thing that's in RSI for the City of Lake Geneva is explaining the OPEB, which is other post-employment benefits related to the Wisconsin retirement system. And if you look, they're always a year behind because of the way the year ends fall. So they do this analysis, and they're a year behind. So if you look at page 68, that's the beginning of the RSI. And you look at 12/31 of 19. If you look way to the right, basically what this whole thing is telling us is 102.96 of our retirement plan is funded. So it's overfunded right now, which is very good. And it kind of goes up and down depending on what happens in the market. So you can see that it's, it's over 100%, and the lowest it's been is 96%. And that all has to do with the way they invest the retirement fund. The other part is dealing with our life insurance. Same kind of thing. So it's kind of complicated. It took a whole semester on pension and OPEB accounting to explain it. But basically, what this is telling us is Wisconsin retirement is overfunded. It is, I think, the second best pension in the U.S. And that just complements all the notes that are before this. There's about 10 pages of notes regarding that.
Thank you.
I hope that's a simple enough. Yeah, it's kind of complicated stuff.
Any other discussion items for this? Mary Jo?
Do we ever, and I know we're only discussing it with the action part was left off, but do we ever try to get at the segregation of duties in our budget?
Well, segregation of duties is not a part of the budget. It's part of internal controls. And basically, we don't have a big enough office so that everybody can share each other's jobs enough. I have put in some new procedures, and I know it was noted, especially in the audit office in a minute. But basically, the treasurer does things, I check them, but for the most part, that's her job. Same with payroll. Doreen does the payroll, I check it, but it's not separate enough where something could not possibly go wrong. It could. So when you're looking at internal controls, I've actually gone through my department and separated a few more things that weren't separated before, but there's no way you can get it 100% perfect. And a lot of it has to do with the utility, because they're only a 3-person office over there. We can separate a lot more over here, but over there it's not something. So that's why we keep getting that comment. And the reason we're getting it on the bid district is because Laura, our treasurer, does all the bookkeeping for them. And when we ran into these problems of them overspending, I actually went to the bid meeting and, well, first Dave and I had a meeting with former bid members, and then they all quit. And then in the spring of 2020, when I saw how the 2019 audit figures were coming in at a loss of $57,000, I went to the bid meeting and I basically told them, if you don't stop spending, you're going to run out of money. And it was as simple as that. So actually, COVID probably helped us because we didn't have all the events during COVID that we could have in 2020. And they built back up the fund balance. They tightened back on the spending. So I think the current board is doing a really good job. And I also put in a new procedure that we will not pay a bill for them unless 3 people sign off on it, and that was never done before. So now we get their monthly bills and we pay them, but we won't pay them unless there's 3 signatures on them. That, helps so that people can't push bills out into the next year. They have to. So that's what was happening. I mean, what he explained is exactly correct. People were pushing bills out till May or June. Well, the audit was already done, and then we'd get a bill from October, and we're like, it should have been in last year. So I don't know what happened with the former board, but this board, I think, is really watches their numbers, and I think they've turned it around to a $10,000 in the black number now from a $57,000 deficit. But they are still going to get that internal for that separation of duties comment because our treasurer does all the bookkeeping. I do check it before the statements go out to them, but between 3 people signing off, and it's just not enough separation for the auditors to say we can get rid of that comment. That's all. You're welcome.
Mary Jo?
But I would still contend that, especially because we have room on the website, they are component units. And they meaning, obviously we see the utility, but the library audit, the bid audit, and any other group that we handle their money, we should be posting those audits. Now, it was made during public comments that the bid district should be actually hiring their own auditor. And you're shaking your head no.
Yeah, and that's my fault. He stopped my office and he was talking about, who's supposed to do it. What they're supposed to do is provide an annual report to the city, and then the city does the audit. So we've been doing it correctly.
But then that even more so validates what I'm saying is that we, as the ultimate body of the money, should be seeing those component audits. That they should be part of the paperwork that's accessible to us because we are responsible for the staff and for the money that's run through this office. So I think that should be a practice that should change. Digital copies are fine, but if we have access, then the public has access too.
Go ahead, Karen. So the bid is the only component unit of the city. The library is fully reported in our financial statements, but because they're not considered major funds, which if there's a calculation to figure out what's major, it's basically big dollar funds. If you look on page 77 and 78 of the report, you will see a balance sheet and profit and loss for all library funds that the city holds. The only thing that is not in here is forensic library, and that is I think it's a 501c3, has nothing to do with the city, it's separate. So all library is already in our audit. There are no extra additional funds, it's all in there. The bid is separate, which you can find online, but if you would like a paper copy, I have one. And the bid is the only component unit, as is the utility. But they are merged into these statements already. Alderman Hudson?
Actually, when I first got on the council, I used to question my review of the separation of responsibility. And it was explained to me that our city is not big enough to afford control. And so many people do so many other jobs that they think it just becomes impossible. So since I've
So can you, Karen, as part of your, suggestions for the bid, include that every year their audit is included separately, or whatever, but that it, because it wasn't made available during the survey. So it should just be a practice.
Well, we can put it on the website, we put it on the website every year, I think. If not, we can, yeah, no problem.
And then I have one more question.
Go ahead.
So this is mostly the city attorney. So there, the comments from the speaker also included other years beyond previous years. So aren't we obligated to look to make sure those funds were actually spent on things and went places that they should have gone? An audit is kind of a global view, not a minute view. Is that our responsibility or the bid's responsibility?
Bid's responsibility.
To look back at the other year.
They're responsible for their funds. The taxes are collected, there's a bank account set up, and then they're supposed to be providing an annual report each year as to what they're gonna be spending.
So if there's something that doesn't, if they found something that doesn't look right, it's up to them to refer it to the proper.
Correct. It's the bid. The bid has control of those funds. It's because it's for the benefit of their members of the bid.
Kelly, did you have your hand or you were waiting? All right, anyone else? Okay. Well, before we adjourn, I meant to say back in the consent agenda when we were approving all these different retailers' licenses and so forth, it seems like we have a lot of events coming up, even in September. And I hope that you will join me in attending some of these events.